we're always open. We're always open to suggestions of topics. So if you have any suggestions, I'll pop Mary's email up there at the end and you can email her with any suggestions of topics for the future. And I'm going to turn it over to Barb now, and she's going to read our land acknowledgement.
We respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has now been erased forever. We also acknowledge the island of Uktahunguk as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. And we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Inuit of Nisa-Menen and the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and the Inuit of Nunatuavut. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in the spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all.
Great, thank you, Barb. It's our pleasure today to introduce our 2 speakers. First of all, Kelly, who is from CNIB. She's the program lead with community and volunteer engagement at CNIB. Kelly's been with CNIB for almost 5 years and much longer as a client and volunteer. She grew up in rural Newfoundland and she graduated Memorial University with a BA in sociology. Kelly is a people person. The favorite part of her job is helping participants realize that they can still follow their dreams and live life to the fullest, even with sight loss. Kelly has a guide dog named Maple. Maple has made a huge difference in Kelly's life and secured a place in her heart. So we look forward to hearing from Kelly in a minute. First of all, though, we will have our speaker, Allan, and Allan is a counselor and client care navigator with vision loss, rehabilitation, and NL. He has an honors BA in sociology from Trent University in 2012, a business administration diploma from Durham College in 2013, and a master's of social work from the University of Windsor in 2015. Allan provides counseling services to individuals, couples, families, and groups to support their adjustment to vision loss. He also conducts intake for CNIB and vision loss rehab NL services. He provides advocacy to community resources and conducts educational and outreach workshops. Allan also has 10 years experience as a volunteer with accessibility for Ontarians with disabilities. So I am going to stop sharing my screen so that we can see everyone here today and pass it over to Allan. Welcome, and we look forward to the information you're going to share with us today.
Thank you, Lee. I'm going to inject something personal first. I did notice that there's a George Topham joined the meeting.
Yes,
George, are you there?
George Tobin.
Oh, Tobin. Okay, never mind.
Different George.
Hello, George. I was thinking it was a person that I knew from Ontario, but it's not the same last name, so I apologize.
Oh, no worries. It's good for all of us to have a chance to chat later anyway.
Yes. So thank you, Lee. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Again, my name is Allan Angus. I'm with Vision Loss Rehab Services, Newfoundland, Labrador. We are a CNIB organization. Approximately 3 years ago, the CNIB created Vision Loss Rehab Services. We are the arm of the CNIB that provides the rehabilitation services for people with vision loss. And we're funded through the Eastern Health Organization. So our services are all free of charge to people who need services. So that's how we are now Vision Loss Rehab Services, and we are a CNIB organization. Oh, yes, I will speak without slides. My screen reader reads that to me. So I'm going to describe our services and what we do and how we assist people and my role. So as mentioned, I'm a counselor, so I provide counseling services as mentioned to individuals, couples, families, groups that we do to help people adhere to and look to having the best possible life they can have, being the most productive lives that they want to have. And it's from a client-centered focus so that, you know, you are in control of your destiny, what you want to do and how you want to achieve it. No one here is ever going to tell you what you should or can do. It's going to be all up to you as you go through your process. I will start by saying that for everyone, you know, you should be getting regular eye exams so that you can be in touch with your eye specialist to know what's going on with your eyes. Our eyes are very important to us. Most of what we learn in our lives, 70% of what we learn comes through us from our vision perspective. So when we have vision loss, you know, there's a big perception from people out there that, you know, we're stupid, we don't know things because we don't have any vision, where that's completely the opposite. We learn how to use our other senses and we gain control of those other senses for a more productive way. Touch, sound, hearing, smell, we utilize those a little bit more. So, you know, if time permits, I'll tell you a little bit about my story of walking down my neighborhood and, you know, with my long cane. And as I'm approaching my home, I'm passing through the restaurant. So I know I passed through the Mexican restaurant. I passed by the Tim Hortons. I passed by the pizza place. So, you know, learning how to utilize those different senses to know where we are. So having an optometrist or an that other person have those exams to know what's going on with your eyes.
Are you saying ophthalmologist?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's Sherry, Allan. You're welcome.
I'm tongue-tied this morning. So
that's all
yes,
right.
The ophthalmologist, so that we know what's going on with our eyes. You know, a lot of eye disease today. You know, still Kelly will probably mention it as well. But you know, diabetic retinopathy and diabetes is very high on our list of people with vision loss. So controlling your diabetes is very important. In today's world, a lot more of age-related macular degeneration. So getting that examined early and finding out what that is. And there's two different kinds of age-related macular degeneration, and they're treated differently, but the sooner you get that looked after, it's like anything else. If you get it dealt with early, it's better. You have better outcomes in your life. Glaucoma, cataracts. In the world today, still cataracts are the #1 reason for vision loss around the world. You know, most places don't have the access to cataract surgeries that we do here in Canada and North America to be able to get cataracts removed. So those are the big ones that we work with people. So making sure you get that dealt with and deal with that on a routine basis so that you can be in control of those things is very important. So from a vision loss rehab services, I do the intakes with clients. Every client will come through me or another client care navigator that we have now. We do an assessment. We look at what you as a client would like to work on, whether it's reading or mobility or whatever it is that your goal is, technology. So I'll talk about our services, but you would all come through someone like me to get an assessment done. And then we look at our different services. So here at Vision Loss Rehab, we have our early childhood intervention program. So that works with children that are younger than school age. And then in school age, they transition to APSI here in Newfoundland and Labrador, which is the Atlantic Provinces Special Education. And they go through they work with APSI from you know, basically kindergarten through to grade 12. And then as young adults, they return back to us and we assist them with whatever programs they need to be helped with. So that's where our early intervention comes from. And we have an early childhood interventional specialist here that works with the children and their families to help them be as productive and find what makes things in their life useful and as, you know, as rewarding as possible, depending on their vision loss. Then we have low vision therapy. So people will come to us if they've been referred by so you can be referred to us through a friend, a family member, yourself. You can self-refer yourself to us. We work with people with mild vision loss through to profound blindness. So, if you've got 20/50, 20/60, 20/70 type vision, we still have the ability to help you to be able to utilize, your vision as most effective as possible. So we do that. So we have a low vision specialist that looks at different types of technology, whether it be filters that go over your glasses to either brighten things up for you, lighten, dampen the brightness, look at magnifiers, closed circuit televisions, different types of magnifying devices, different reading devices. So we have someone that can either work with you here in our office or come to your home, depending on what works best for you. We have an assistive technology person to help you with technology. So as we go through life, our technology changes. Technology is one of the great things that help us equalize life. And Kelly's going to talk about that some more. But technology is great, with the ability to be able to use that so that we can keep communicating and learning. And, I went through school totally blind, and, technology was the equalizer to provide me with that information. Being able to get on the websites and chase down information, research, and writing papers and those kind of things. We have orientation and mobility skills. So if your vision is declined enough that you would need some skills outside, looking to be able to maneuver through malls or buildings or around your neighborhood. So helping you with that kind of thing, help you with that. We've got a person to help you with those things. We've got independent living skills person. So that's someone who would help you in your home, looking at helping you develop skills to pour coffee or tea, utilizing different tools. We have things called liquid level indicators. So if you're pouring a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, you don't have to stick your finger in it. You don't have to burn yourself. You don't have to overflow things. Marking up your appliances to make it easier for you to find on-off buttons, those kind of things. Contrasting, using different colored plates and dishes, making sure that you have safe techniques to get around your house, so you use your hands so you don't bang your face off countertops, or teaching you how to make sure you put things back in the same place so it's easier to find things. Bang your head off cupboard doors you might leave open, putting your dishes away in the same spot, cooking. A lot of people have low vision or have lost their vision. So they like to be able to still be able to cook and do all those kind of things. So we have people to help assist you to figure out what you need best to help you perform those duties in those areas. So that's something that we can do there. We offer, sorry, you see me keep pressing my button. There's people join into the meeting and my computer announces that. So I have to turn the speech thing off there. And then we have individual counseling. So if people are experiencing emotional issues, one of the biggest things that people experience with vision loss is the loss of their driver's license. Quite emotional to a lot of people. So being able to travel, getting those kind of things. Your family life changes, all around your house. So working with couples is also what I do as well. Families, groups, so that people can learn that they're not alone out there. Many times we think with vision loss that we're alone, that nobody else is experiencing what we're losing. So we have that available as well. So those are the main things that we look at there. And then as part of my referral process, I look at the services that CNIB offers. And if people are interested in CNIB things, and Kelly will talk about them all, but if people are interested in accessing the CNIB services, I make a referral to CNIB services for those devices and or services. Part of vision loss that is available to people and concessions if you have vision loss. And I'll talk about vision loss, what it is in a second, but there are some concessions through Bell, to access 411 service free of charge. Kelly's going to talk to you about the CNIB card. Kelly, you're going to talk about the CNIB card?
I can.
Okay, Kelly will talk about the CNIB card and what the services you get from the CNIB card, travel services that you get across the province and across the country, and access to library services, talking book library services, access to the library for digital library, and accessibility through different technologies. So we have all of those things available to people with vision loss. And for everyone that's out there listening, so there's many people think that you don't need our services if you're not blind. Well, that's contrary to what's happening. You may have some mild vision loss, and you may have some devices, as I mentioned, low vision services that would help make your life easier, make things, you go into the store and being able to shop and get things done easier at the store without being frustrated. So we have those things available. So being legally blind has really two criteria. So the first one is if you have less than 20/200 vision, so that's what someone with perfect vision sees at 200 feet with your corrective lenses on in your best eye. I know that sounds a little complicated, but you can have no vision in one eye, but yet have 20/40 vision in your good eye, and you wouldn't be considered legally blind. You'd have low vision, but you wouldn't be legally blind. So, legal blindness is a terminology that has its definitions. Or if you have peripheral vision loss of where you have less than 20 degrees of peripheral vision. So if you have age-related macular degeneration, that's affecting your central vision. And if that spreads out, so you have less than 20 degrees of peripheral vision, that would make you what we call legally blind. Or if you have something, an eye disease like I do, retinitis pigmentosa, which is a form of glaucoma, where your peripheral vision comes from, you lose your peripheral vision from the outside inward. So if you have less than 20 degrees of central vision, you'd also be legally blind. So those are the terminologies that we use for vision loss and legal blindness. So only about 10% of our clients are fully blind, as I am. So most people, 90% of people still have some usable vision, and it's our job to help you utilize the existing vision that you've got, or if you have no vision, to utilize that to the best value and perform what you want to do in your daily living. I hope I wasn't too fast for everyone.
Oh, that was marvelous, Alan. That was a great overview, and lots of I learned lots of new information for me. So that was certainly interesting. If people would like to type into the chat bar, we'll pause for a minute, I think, and ask Alan a couple questions before we move on to Kelly. Feel free to type into the chat bar or speak up or raise your hands. We have a little bit of a smaller group today, so I don't think there's too much risk that we're all going to be talking over each other. And I actually have a question for you to start things, Alan. I'm wondering, you mentioned like macular degeneration and other conditions. So who would somebody see if they're concerned about those vision, like if they're concerned they might have a vision issue? Who would they see about that?
You can see your optometrist or your ophthalmologist. In Newfoundland Labrador, you can get a referral from your family doctor to an ophthalmologist, so that you don't have to go through the optometrist. If your family doctor suspects you might have macular degeneration, you can get a referral from your family doctor to an ophthalmologist.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, and I know it's challenging even for some people to
Yes.
find a family doctor, but hopefully there'll be a healthcare provider in their communities that they could approach for that.
And again, Lee, an ophthalmologist does charge, or sorry, optometrist does charge, but I mean, the accessibility to optometrists is easier than ophthalmologists. You can get to see an optometrist much quicker and more efficiently than you can see an ophthalmologist.
Right, good to know. Did anybody else have any questions for Alan? And there'll be time at the end too to think about some of his comments.
Lee, I have a question for Alan. Sherry here, Alan. For people who are legally blind and need access to a guide dog, do they go, I know that's a separate organization, but can they go through you people with CNIB to see about that or set that up? Or how do you set that up?
That's a great question, Sherry. And Kelly is the proper person. You've got the right person on the other end here with me to talk about guide dogs.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Okay, so we'll hold, that's a good question, and we'll pause that one for just a minute, before we see if there's any other questions for Alan before we move on. But It struck me too, Alan, when you were speaking that I don't know how many of your clients or people that you meet at Vision Loss Rehab, how many of them would be seniors, but there's certainly so many overlapping concerns in terms of safety and preventing falls and all those things you were describing about being mobile in the community, but also in our homes. I thought those were some really good tips, and it really makes you realize that, you know, if people are concerned about their vision, they shouldn't, they you know, that there's somebody to reach out to. It's good to know that you're there, and that was, your program is new to me, so that's really good to know.
Well, thank you, Lee. And I do have that number. About 65% of our clients are people who are seniors.
Okay.
Vision loss is generally an age-related acquirement. Most people do acquire their vision loss or any other disability through age. You know, many people are not born with vision loss. Some people are, but about 65% of our clients are seniors.
Okay,
Which is age 65. It's not the Shoppers Drug Mart senior.
that's right. We can define it so many different ways.
Yes.
So 65 plus in your case, yeah, for your
Yes.
for your data, yeah.
Yeah.
And the driver's license, like you said, is you know, such a loss for people, and many seniors experience that, and it's so good to know that there's supports available.
And I will add too, Lee, is that, you know, Kelly and I are both using a software called JAWS. It's a screen reading software. And we both use this software to be able to do all of the work that we want to do, including, you know, jumping onto these Zoom links and be able to do all of that stuff through our JAWS or through our iPhones or iPads, being able to use that accessible technology. So it's really great to have that technology to be able to communicate with people as technology changes, as we're learning, as we're going through our stages in life, and quickly, you know, technology is taking over the world, and, you know, it's better to know the technology and be able to use it. And, you know, many people are teaching us new technologies as we go on. So it's very helpful to be able to have that and learn the technologies that are going on. You know, especially, I mean, today, you know, we're looking at COVID, and we're getting the vaccine passport, and it's going to be an app that goes on your phone. So, you know, people that don't have access to that are going to have some different ways to do things. But for those of you that all have your smartphones, you're going to be able to access all of that, you know, with the smart device. And that's something that is part of our accessible technology too, is to be able to teach people how to use those smart devices to help them magnify things, or look at, have someone help them look at the thermostat in their house to make sure the temperature is set right, so that they don't have to worry about whether the temperature is set right. So those are part of our independent living skills that we help people with.
Marvelous. All right. Okay, so I think, thanks, Alan. Stay with us if you can, and we'll move along to Kelly and learn a little bit more about her work and CNIB. Kelly.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to come in today and speak to everyone. So I work with CNIB. Our mission statement is changing what it means to be blind today. So that means that people who are blind or partially sighted often think that they're not able to do certain tasks that others who are fully sighted do on a day-to-day basis, such as cooking, cleaning, using their computer, their cell phones, things like that. But that's not true. And I offer a number of social and recreational groups that help people learn that they can do these day-to-day tasks when they are blind or partially sighted. So starting off, I would like to talk about a virtual program that I offer called Tech Connect. So Tech Connect is a program. It was in person before the pandemic hit, but we've changed to virtual in 2020, and it's actually going quite a bit better virtually than it was in person. We have a lot more participation in the group now that it's virtual. There are people from across the island and the country that are able to attend the virtual group. and because geographics is not an issue. So the Tech Connect group is a group that meets on the second Tuesday of each month. And I would arrange to have someone come on the call and present about a piece of assistive technology, an assistive device, a gadget that they may use on a day-to-day basis that they find very accessible and very helpful, even though the device may not be triggered for someone with vision loss, it may be very helpful for someone with vision loss. So we have a large variety of topics that we cover, and the presentation includes, how we use this device, what it does, and how it's so helpful to someone who is blind or partially sighted. So for an example, we might talk about voiceover on the Apple products, how people can navigate through their iPhones, apps that are available to help them out day to day. And another example would be, I use a Dirt Devil. So a Dirt Devil is a gadget I have here in my house. It's not triggered for someone with vision loss, but me as a blind person finds it very helpful. It's like a very small vacuum that I use to, rather than sweeping my floor, I find this little machine much more accessible, especially when I can't see to pick up the dirt in my dustpan. The little vacuum, and it's handheld, and it has extensions on it, so it's only about the size of a broom. So that's very accessible for me. And so for the Tech Connect program, we also I also like when people send me topic ideas, technology that they'd like to learn about, various things like that, and I will do my best to find someone who is up to date on this technology and get them to present at this program. And there's also time at the end of the program for participants to ask questions and hopefully receive answers. If answers are not able to be given on the spot, I will do my very best to reach out to someone and find the answers for them. We also have a Phone It Forward program. So the Phone It Forward program is a program where you can donate your old smartphone. Your phone will be refurbished, and we will send out iPhones and Samsungs to participants who are blind or partially sighted, and they either can't afford to buy a new cell phone, or they want to try out the cell phone and see how the accessibility features on the phones help them out day to day. So we will provide the clients or the participants with the phones, but the participant is responsible for setting up a package on the phone and things like that. But the cost of the phone will be dropped, which is a huge help. I offer, when a group of these phones go out to participants, I offer a 5-week virtual training. So I have a group of dedicated and wonderful volunteers that come on the group every Monday for 5 weeks, and they will be covering various training topics like the layout of the phone, voiceover features on the phone, how Siri can help, how you can navigate Facebook, email, texting, and even helpful apps for people who are blind or partially sighted, such as Seeing AI. So Seeing AI is an app that you can use if you're not sure if you've taken a box of crackers or a box of cereal out of the cupboard. This app can help you do things like that, especially with canned foods. Sometimes if you don't know whether you have a can of mushrooms or a can of tomato soup, this app is very helpful for that. So aside from technology programs, I offer a large amount of social programs, such as Story Corner. So this group takes place once a month, and it's where a volunteer reads a selection of short stories from the well-known Chicken Soup books. Participants love this group. I have Trivia. So Trivia is once a month, and we play, a different trivia game. It's actually coming up tonight on Zoom. We're going to be playing Guess the Theme Song. So I was able to find, luckily, I was able to find the trivia game already done for me on YouTube. So it's a bunch of theme songs from various TV shows, and it's just a short snippet of the theme song, and hopefully people will be able to guess the theme song, the TV show that the song is for, including myself. I'm not a TV person, so it should be fun. I have a Music and Friends. So this group takes place every second Wednesday night from 7:30 to 8:30 Newfoundland time. And I have a local performer come on the call for an hour and sing and play musical instruments, and participants love it. I was fortunate enough back in late winter, one of my coworkers was able to get Mark Manning from the popular Rum Ragged to come on the call and perform for an hour. And so I have friends and family members and coworkers, and even some of my Go-Go's drivers have came on the call and performed for an hour. So it's been a lot of fun, and participants really enjoy the live performances. And particularly participants from across the country love coming on the call to listen to live Newfoundland music, even though that's not the case every time the group takes place. But it is a lot of fun. So I have a large amount of virtual and in-person programs. In person, I have the walking group. So once a month, we meet up at Bowring Park or the Village Mall, weather depending, and we walk for an hour. And sometimes, especially at the Village, we'll meet up for a coffee at the food court for a few minutes after the walk is over. I have rug hooking. So Winnie Glavine, who is in the Newfoundland rug hooking group, has volunteered to come in and teach rug hooking to people who are blind or partially sighted. So Winnie has had in partnership with a friend of hers outside of Newfoundland, she has learned how to develop a tactile pattern so that people who are blind or partially sighted can feel the layout of their rug, and they can participate in hooking in around the pattern. So currently I am working on a flower. It's much more complicated than the first one I did, which was just a bunch of square blocks on like an 8x10 mat. And I did all of those blocks in different colors. But currently, like I said, I'm doing a flower. It's a very beautiful flower, and it's large. So it's taking a lot of time, and it's much more complicated because Winnie has even developed tactile veins and things like that in the leaves of the flower. So it is quite time consuming. It takes a lot of patience, but it's fun. I love it. So we do have several other virtual programs available. If you're interested in learning about all of them or receiving information on them, please feel free to reach out at any time. But we also have volunteer opportunities. So we're always looking for volunteers to help us run programs, whether these programs are in person or virtual. So one of our key volunteer opportunities is the Vision Mate program. So the Vision Mate program is a program that's where a volunteer is matched with a participant. And for 2 hours a week, each week, the volunteer and the participant will get together and do social and recreational activities. So going for walks, sitting down, going for a coffee, having a chat. Sometimes volunteers read the mail up for participants. Participants sometimes want a sighted friend to go to the mall with them and help them pick out an outfit, things like that. So we've had several very, very good Vision Mate matches over the years. It is one of our key volunteer programs. And we're looking for volunteers of all ages to take part in this program. Sometimes we have participants requesting certain ages of volunteer. It could be, over 25 or over 55. It could be anything. So we do love seeing volunteers come into CNIB, and the 2 hours a week for the Vision Made program is very flexible. So it doesn't have to be one time, 2 hours. It can be twice a week for an hour or 4 times a week for half an hour. It's completely up to you. It's a mutual time and agreement between the participant and the volunteer. So if you're not able to meet with the participant at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, you don't meet with the participant at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. You find a mutual time that works for both of you. So it's a very flexible volunteer role. And we also like volunteers joining us on our virtual programs to help out, like with Story Corner. I can't see the print in the chicken soup books to read them. So I need volunteers I have 5 or 6 different chicken soup books. So a volunteer will drop by and pick up one of those chicken soup books from me, and they can jump on the call and read stories for a half hour or 45 minutes. It's lovely. So to move along, Allan mentioned the ID card. So the CNIB ID cards are for people who are blind or partially sighted. You have to be considered legally blind to get one, which is 20 over 200. And with the CNIB card, you can get a number of, I will say, benefits. So for example, if you are going on a trip, when you're booking your plane ticket, book it in your name, and then the person who you are taking with you, you can call the airlines and let them know that you're a CNIB client and you need to book a flight for an attendant. So you will give them your CNIB ID number, and you will be able to get that second flight for the cost of the taxes on your flight. So that's a huge savings. I believe that's only within Canada, though. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Allan. And I do know that with these ID, you can look at, getting discounts with Bell and Rogers, various places like that. So for the CNIB ID, we would need a photographed image of you, and you would send it to me or someone at CNIB, and then we would send that away and to our national office, and they would develop a ID card and send it back. So, but there are a number of things that come along with having a CNIB card, sorry. So that's fantastic.
Kelly, it's Allan here.
Yep.
There's here in Newfoundland, Labrador, people get to travel on the DRL bus 2 for 1. So you and your companion would travel on the DRL bus, and for 1 fee, or half price if you're traveling alone if you've got your CNIB card. And also on Marine Atlantic, your companion travels free as well. So
Okay.
that's good. And you did mention about Air Canada. A couple of years ago, I was going to Florida, and they gave my attendant 50% off to go to Florida.
Oh, awesome. Thank
Now,
you.
I can't guarantee that happens all the time, but they did give me that.
Well, that's great. I don't travel much, so I'm not quite sure how that sort of thing works with the CNIB card, but I'm sure there are a ton of more benefits that go along with having a CNIB card. I do know when I was in Halifax a couple of years ago with my CNIB card, I only had to pay for, out of me and my partner, to get on the Metro bus. only one of us had to pay. So that was a huge benefit. And correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, I think it was about you that asked about the CNIB guide dogs.
Sherry did, yeah, but
Oh, sorry,
any
Sherry.
information you have on that, that would be great.
I have a CNIB dog. So CNIB guide dogs started their program back in 2017. They received their first litter of puppies and started training them. They are trained in Ottawa, Ontario. They're with a puppy raiser for a year. So the puppy raiser will teach them basic things like, not toileting in the house, going to the door when they need to go out, sit, things like that. They will teach them basic obedience as well. So stay and listen when they're told no. And then they go to advanced training for 6 to 12 months. So they're between 18 and 24 months before they're able to be out working and matched with a participant. So advanced training would be like walking on the streets, finding curbs, finding stoplights, finding inanimate objects such as, your mailbox, going back home, things like that. So they are one of the only types of working dogs that are trained in intense standardized training. So it's training specific to someone who is blind or partially sighted. And they are taught to disobey the handler's commands if it's going to place the handler in a very dangerous situation. So if I tell my dog to cross the street and there's a car coming, she will not listen to me and cross the street at that time. She will wait and cross the street when it's safe to do so. So there are a number of schools across, globally, for CNIB or for guide dogs. They're not all CNIB. CNIB is a relatively new one. Like I said, it didn't start until 2017. So my dog is one of the first dogs from the CNIB school. But there's Canadian guide dogs for the blind. There's several in the States. I know Seeing Eye is one of them in, I believe it's California. There's a popular one in New Jersey. So there are several schools around the world, but CNIB is the main one in Canada right now. And since the pandemic began, the CNIB guide dog application process has increased by 375%. So there's quite a wait list for guide dogs at the moment. And I think that's because with the pandemic, more people are at home and out for walks, and they have more time available to spend with the dog. So that's great as long as we keep those puppies coming. So if you were interested in applying for a guide dog, CNIB Guide Dogs has a website that you can go on and access the information to apply. It's just cnibguidedogs.ca. And also you could reach out, and somewhere in my notes, I do have a phone number for a gentleman in Winnipeg that you can call and speak with about, if you have questions about the process you would have to go through before applying for a guide dog, and even when you get your guide dog. So I've had Maple for 2.5 years now, and it's been a life-changing experience. Every day is different. Some days she listens much better than others. She does still make mistakes, but they are few and far between. And a lot of those mistakes that she makes are because of me. So I'm not giving her the correct hand signals, or I'm not quick enough with my commands or corrections. So there are a lot of things that the handler has to learn as well. I have manuals, very long manuals that I refer to frequently in order to keep up to date. CNIB Guide Dogs has been great on checking in and making sure that everything is going good between me and Maple. They were actually here in St. John's 2 weeks ago and they had assessments to do. So they got in contact with me and we went out for 3 or 4 walks and just did some follow-up work and checking in, make sure things are going okay. And we actually went to the Avalon Mall and did some work with Maple helping me locate the dentist's office. So that was great as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit involved with a guide dog, but they're a life-changing partnership. What was that question, Sherry?
The question is, I just posted the website for the CNIB guide dogs and the programs for Newfoundland.
Oh, okay. Like Allan, I hit the mute button when the chat came through because my screen reader was reading it out.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that is CNIB in a nutshell. There are much more. That is my role, I should say, in a nutshell. More components to CNIB are fundraisers that we have that help us host innovative programs such as our summer family camp, and some of my programs require funding. So we have a social event. So when we could have this social event in person, sometimes we would go out for coffee or go out for lunch, things like that. So all of those sorts of things require funding. So we have fundraisers throughout the year. And we have an eye safety program. So we go into businesses, schools, colleges, things like that. And we teach about eye safety and how to best protect your eyes. There are a large percentage, I believe it's 75% of eye conditions can be prevented if you use proper eye safety. So even something as simple as out mowing your grass, if you're not wearing safety glasses and a rock flips up, that could really affect your vision. So if the CNIB website, cnib.ca, has a lot of detailed information about the programs and services that are available in CNIB. But what I've presented on today are just a nutshell overview of the programs, services, and volunteer opportunities available here in Newfoundland. So thank you all very much. It's been fabulous.
Kelly, Sherry here.
Yeah.
I don't know if can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
With the guide dogs, what type of dogs? Is there a special breed of dogs, or do they match the dog's personality with the person? How did that work when you're matched up with a dog?
So both.
Okay.
So right now, the breed of dog with CNIB guide dogs is retrievers. So I have a golden retriever. There are some black Labrador retrievers, and there is so what they do, they will come and do, the CNIB guide dog trainers will come and do an assessment with you. So they test your walking speed, your cane, aware, like if you know how to use a cane well, if you know how to detect with a white cane when you're coming up to a curb, when there's traffic coming and it's not safe to cross. They will get a sense of your personality, and then they will find a dog that matches that. So my walking speed varies. So if I'm inside walking, I'm a little bit slower than if I'm outside walking. And sometimes even outside walking, I like to just go for a nice little stroll. So, you know, the mobility instructor was able to see that when when he was down and did the assessment with me. So I was matched with a dog that can adjust her speed. And, you know, she's very good. If she's walking quickly, I can give her a command to get her to slow down and things like that. So the breed of dog and the personality is part of the matching process.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Kelly. We do have a question from George. He asks, is there contact information for vision loss rehab, specifically low vision therapy?
Yes. So the telephone number is area code 709-754-1180, and the extension is 5800. And that's our registrar, Amy. So it's 709-754-1180, extension 5800. And our registrar, Amy, will take all the information and get you set up to be able to generally talk to me. And then we get the low vision assessment set up. So you have to come through someone like me first to get all the information on things. So that's the telephone number.
Thank you, Ellen. I will put that into the chat box so everyone can see and have that information available to them.
Excellent. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for your presentation as well. And did anybody have any other questions for Allan or Kelly before we flew up today? Really interesting. I guess I have one I'm hesitant to ask, so it'll have to be a brief answer because I don't want to keep people too long because I have to close with a couple slides. But I'm just wondering, in terms of the low vision therapy, and there are technologies involved, as you've mentioned quite a few today, both of you. Is there funding available to support people to obtain some of these technologies?
The short answer to that is not in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Ah.
If you were in other provinces, they have, like in Ontario, it's called the ADP program, the Assisted Devices Program, and they fund 75 to 80% of that for people. But unfortunately, here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we don't have any funding to provide that for people. Now, there are some places where some students can go to get funding, some police associations, et cetera, to get funding for their school equipment. But for the low vision devices, there currently is not, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay, I have another question here. Maxine had asked, what is the name of the program for old smartphones?
Phone it forward.
Phone in forward?
Phone it forward.
Oh, phone it forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think it has its own website. Does it, Kelly? Phone it forward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And all of the information about that program as well, including the website, is on the CNIB website. So I have envelopes available at CNIB for you to, if you wanted to, drop by and pick up an envelope. You can put your old smartphone in that and you can send it back free of charge, or you can send it to drop it off at CNIB and we can take care of it.
Kelly, I have one more question.
Sure.
Regarding your volunteering, you're talking about the chicken soup. You're looking for volunteers to come in and help you with reading of the stories and that. If anyone wanted to, who would they call and ask for, or go in and talk with?
That would be me.
Okay.
So it's a virtual group. So the only thing they would have to do is arrange with me to drop by the CNIB office to pick up a chicken soup book.
Okay.
But also I would need them to fill out a volunteer interest form, and there's a screening process behind that because it's a virtual group and you're speaking with participants from various regions. We do need to do a little bit of screening before we get you on the call to volunteer.
Okay, thank you so much. And also regarding the matching, you had said volunteer vision match, would they just drop by the CNIB, or is this information available on your website as well?
It will all be on the website. But if they want more information, they can certainly reach out to me.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a phone number I can post, Kelly? Or would
Yep.
you? Okay,
754-1180. And my extension is 5813.
thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Wow, interesting conversation and lots of great programs for sure, and opportunities to volunteer. I'm just going to see if I can share our last couple slides here. Let's see. Oh, I won't. Maybe I won't go. Well, maybe I will. I should go to full screen here if I can figure out. how
Lee,
to-
while you're pulling that, pulling
Yes.
it up, George asked the question about getting a CNIB card. And that's pretty simple too, George. You have to come through us to get assessment and be legally blind to get the CNIB card. So you'll have to come through us. We'll have to get the eye exam to be able to get that photo taken and sent in for you.
Okay, great, thank you. Lots of terrific information today. If you're attending as part of your professional development and you would like to have a certificate of completion, please email Mary E@seniorsnl.ca. Also, in terms of our own volunteers, we always like to invite people who would like to be a friend of Seniors NL. If you would like to link with older adults who have questions or concerns about programs or issues to seniors, then you would be a friend of Seniors NL and could give out some information. You could connect with different folks, giving out business cards, just promoting our services a little bit as well. So if you would like information on Friends of Seniors NL, again, you can contact Mary Ennis, at seniorsnl.ca, or give us a call at our phone line 737-2333. So we're always welcome to new people as well. And I love the volunteer opportunities through Kelly and Allan's programs. Kelly in particular, I guess, organizes that portion. Feel free to reach out to her. We need to change our date for our hearing loss and deaf culture session. The date will be announced. I'm thinking there probably won't be a webinar next Tuesday, but we'll be in touch with folks about that. And finally, that's our information for Seniors NL. If you have any questions or comments about anything that is related to seniors, feel free to give us a shout or email info@seniorsnl.ca. Thanks again to the United Way for their support for our information series, and certainly look forward to seeing all of you folks again at another time. And a very special thank you today to Kelly and to Allan. Very interesting presentation, and thanks all of you for joining. If you have any questions that you think of after the session, feel free to email Mary, and I'm sure we can forward them on to Allan and Kelly for some assistance. So thanks
you very
again
much,
to
Lee.
everyone.
I have to go. Thank
Yes.
you. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you, Kelly.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Pleasure seeing everyone, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.